Hey guys, it's your boy Rs, back at it again with another video. I'm finally back from my break, and I figured that I'd just rip the band-aid off and get this over with. HONKAI Star Rail storytelling is trash. Not only is it trash, but it is also, in my opinion, intentionally trash. Before I explain why I think that is, let me say this. 3.0 storytelling was so bad that I literally almost fell asleep while playing it live. I looked around for other reviews on 3.0, and other players were saying the exact same thing. There's way too much bloated dialogue, way too much time on puzzles, and the writers literally mocked us while explaining the lore of the world. For those who played 3.0, you know exactly what I'm talking about. After you meet Aglaea, the game intentionally gives you a boring lore drop told by a spirit, and then, when you complain about it being boring, they bring out another spirit who explains it to you like a child. This isn't funny, and the writers being self-aware about their trash storytelling doesn't make the writing good. There are also parts of the story that are utterly unnecessary to the plot and are included for the sake of extending runtime. You want an example? Sure. If you guys remember, Aglaea very clearly tells our heroes to make sure that no one knows that they came from the outside of the planet, with the exception of, I'm assuming, the Chrysos heirs. Pretty simple instruction. In all of the main characters and Dan Heng's infinite wisdom, they almost immediately decide to give a camera that holds all of March 7th's memories from our adventures to a random citizen. Regardless of whether they handed them their smartphone or a camera, this is a brain dead move. I could see this happening to the main character if they were by themselves, as they're kind of aloof. However, with Dan Heng there, this is unfathomably unrealistic because he is too cautious and too intelligent to trust a random civilian with their friend's belongings just to take a photo, especially with the warning he was just given. But of course, this plot-induced stupidity is intentional. From my perspective, the writers aimed to waste the player's time, chasing down Damionis and squashing the rumors he spread. Was this necessary to push the plot forward? Absolutely not. You could literally delete that part of the story completely and everything would be exactly the same. They could have made it a side quest and everything would be exactly the same. It doesn't even serve the purpose of making Aglaea distrust us because apparently she distrusted us the whole time, even after the main character agrees to help her the first time. The reason why I believe this to be true is because Aglaea questioned the main character about the Stellaron inside of them, something we never told her about, so she most likely was going to interrogate one or both of us over that, regardless if we broke her promise or not. But it gets worse. The interrogation itself, specifically the consequence, is especially moronic. Aglaea says that she expects fully truthful answers from us. Too many lies, and we die. I'm not nettled about the punishment. I'm nettled at the fact that even if you give a half-truth, you still get punished for lies via omission, despite Aglaea lying by omission ever since we've known her. But, for some reason, our transgressions are punishable by death, and her hypocrisy makes sense. I can already hear someone saying, "Oh, but ours, she wasn't actually planning to kill them. Does it matter that much?" Well, in that case, that makes it even worse. Not only is the entire threat meaningless because she never meant to kill us, and Castorice never was going to allow us to die, but get this, Aglaea made the threat to strengthen our bonds with Castorice and Phynon after they inevitably stand up for us. This is an attempt at cold Geass levels of writing, except Aglaea's logic and reasoning is even more short-sighted than Lelouch. There is literally no reason, as the leader of the Chrysos heirs, to harm her own reputation with those who could potentially save their entire world. If we weren't stuck in plot-induced stupidity land, the overwhelming majority of characters in this scenario would attempt to leave immediately, or at the bare minimum, refuse to cooperate with Aglaea any further. Dan Heng rightfully makes that exact argument. The only reason we can't leave or refuse to cooperate is because if we don't, we might be stuck on the planet for the foreseeable future, and even more importantly than that, the plot demands it. If Aglaea had the capacity to make this convoluted, self-destructive plan, she could have just as easily came up with an idea to strengthen her bonds with everyone instead of risking potentially the entire fate of her world on this strategy. I wonder if you guys have considered this. What if our main character and Dan Heng decided to not be amicable and attempted to kill Aglaea before Castorice could even react? The thing that's insane to me is that she's fully aware of the enormous power within our main character's body, and she doesn't even know about Dan Heng's Imbibitor Lunae form. If their capabilities are beyond what Aglaea had anticipated, she will be powerless to stop them, and the prophecy ends right there. She couldn't even complain because it would be self-defense. I'm not saying that the main character or Dan Heng would ever kill Aglaea, but how would she know that they wouldn't do that? Her threads may provide her with a lot of information, but they don't make her omniscient. Otherwise, why bother interrogating them in the first place? I hate characters written this way in most mediums because they're essentially supposed to be more complex and intelligent tsunderes. It's not like I hate you or anything. Ass writing. This sort of strategic thinking is also deeply concerning because, as I just mentioned, she is the de facto leader of the heirs. If she has these sort of self-destructive tendencies over minor inconveniences, especially ones that end up being inconsequential, that logic can and will carry over to more important decisions down the line. I used to pride myself as a strategist given that I've played several games competitively at a very high level. Although I'm old and I'm washed up now, and I'm fully aware that the stakes of this story is greater than any game I've ever played. I've seen enough to know that people and characters who think like Aglaea end up making critical errors that cause avoidable loss. So, I'm expecting sometime soon, especially given the not so subtle foreshadowing, that she is going to make a dumbass decision that is supposed to be noble and heroic and end up getting herself and or someone else killed. And I'm sure it's going to be some sort of tragic event that no one saw coming. Meanwhile, I'll be over here saying, do you hear that? Do you hear that phone ringing? Somebody should pick that up because I fucking called it.